I Have a Pet by Shari Halpern. Look at the illustration on the front cover of this book. Can you make a prediction in your head what you think this book will be about based on the illustration on the front cover? Let's open the book to the title page. I Have a Pet. That's the title or name of the book. I read that title with strong feeling because there's an exclamation point after the title. The author who wrote the words of this book is Shari Halpern. Look at the sign here on the title page. Can you read this sign with me? Pet. Pet. Show. Pet show. That gives us a clue as to what this book will be about. Look at the illustration of the boy. He's holding a rope. We can't see in this illustration what's on the other end of the rope. What do you predict is on the other end of the rope? What was on the other end of the boy's rope? Look at the pet that the girl has in her cage. Why do you think the dog on the end of the rope is pulling so hard? Here are all of the kids at the pet show. This man is the judge. He's holding the clipboard and the pencil, having all the kids get in line. Each child at the pet show will need to tell the judge why their pet is the best one so that the judge can pick a winner. Let's look at the pets that have come to the pet show. Have you ever seen any of these pets in real life? Which pet do you predict will win the pet show? Why do you think that pet will win the pet show? Before we begin reading this book, there are some vocabulary words I'd like for us to look at and understand better. Then as we read the book, I want you to listen very closely for the vocabulary words. The first word we'll look at is on page 7. It's the word cooperate. Cooperate means to work together. When you hear the word cooperate when we're reading the book, I want you to put your two hands together to show that you know that cooperate means work together. Can you say cooperate and put your hands together? The next word we'll look at is the word vaccinations on page 10. Vaccinations is a long word. Sometimes when we hear a new word that's long, we can break it into pieces to make it easier to say. Say vac, sin, a, shun, s. Now put all the sounds together and say vaccinations. Vaccinations are shots that you get to keep you from getting sick in the future. When you hear the word vaccination in this story, I want you to pretend to give yourself a shot. Can you say vaccination and pretend to give yourself a shot? Say vaccinations. The next word we'll look at is on page 15. It's the word chirps. Chirps means the sound that a bird makes. When you hear the word chirps, can you put your two fingers together and say chirp, chirp, chirp? It's usually a soft singing sound. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The other vocabulary word on this page is squawks. Squawks is also a sound a bird makes, but it's a much louder sound. When you hear the word squawks, I want you to put your fingers really far apart and say squawks, squawks. Be sure and listen for chirps and squawks when we're reading the book. The next vocabulary word we'll listen for is on page 20. It's the word burrow. Burrow means to dig down under something. Usually an animal is what burrows. When you hear the word burrows, I want you to pretend to use your two hands to burrow under something. Can you say burrow? The last vocabulary word before we read the book is interesting. Interesting means when something is fun or piques your interest and makes you think about it. So when you hear the word interesting, I want you to take your pointer finger and point to your forehead and say interesting. Can you point to your forehead and say interesting? Now, let's read the book together. I Have a Pet by Shari Halpern. Everyone's lined up and ready. I have a pet. My dog's name is Bucky. I take him out for his walks. He is curious and likes to sniff everything. Bucky is also smart. I taught him to sit and to give me his paw. I give Bucky a bath when he is dirty. It is a big job, and sometimes Bucky doesn't cooperate. But when his bath is done, he smells nice and clean. I love my dog. Do you think Bucky the dog should win the pet show? Now the judge will listen to someone else. I have a pet. This is my cat, Fern. I helped take Fern to the vet so she can get her vaccinations. They keep her healthy. Every year we make sure Fern goes for shots. My favorite time with Fern is at night when I'm about to go to sleep. She curls up in a little ball near my pillow, and I can hear her purring. That means she's happy. I love my cat. Do you think Fern the cat should win the pet show? I have a pet. What kind of pet does this girl have? Let's find out. My pet is a bird, and his name is George. He is a parakeet. I give George birdseed and water, and I change the paper at the bottom of his cage when it gets dirty. George sings. Sometimes he chirps, chirp, 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 softly, and other times he squawks, squawk, squawk, squawks loudly. Sometimes he stands on my shoulder and sings to me. I love my bird. Do you think George the parakeet should win the pet show? What happened? How would you feel if this happened while you were at a pet show? Where did Fern the cat go? Everybody's back where they belong now. I have a pet. What kind of pet does this girl have? Have you ever seen a pet like that? Sophie is my hamster. I give her food and water, and I clean out her cage. I take out the old dirty wood chips and put in new clean ones. Sophie likes to burrow under them and make a soft bed to sleep in. I like to hold Sophie in my hands and watch her little pink nose wiggle up and down. She is so small and her fur is so smooth. I am very gentle with her. I love my hamster. Do you think Sophie the hamster should win the pet show? Who's up next? I have a pet. What kind of pet does this boy have? Would you want to have that kind of pet? This is my pet lizard. His name is Raymond. He lives in a glass cage with a rock and a branch that he likes to sit on. I make sure Raymond gets fresh water and crickets to eat. I like to hold Raymond. He doesn't feel slimy. He feels dry and smooth. Sometimes Raymond sheds his skin. I think Raymond is an interesting pet. I love my lizard. Do you think Raymond the lizard should win the pet show? Look at the judge's face. Do you think it will be easy or hard to decide which one of these pets is the best? Look at each kid's face. How do you think they're feeling as they wait to hear who the winner is? Do you think Bucky the dog should win the pet show? Or do you think Sophie the hamster should win? Maybe George the parakeet? Fern the cat? Or should it be Raymond the lizard? Who will win? Let's find out. What happened? What is each child holding? Let's take a closer look and see what those ribbons say. Bucky the dog won a ribbon for best tricks. Sophie the hamster won a ribbon for softest fur. George the parakeet won a ribbon for best song. Fern the cat won a ribbon for best purr. And Raymond the lizard won a ribbon for being the most unusual. In this pet show, everybody won for one reason or another. Which pet would you like to have? I hope you enjoyed the book, I Have a Pet. Maybe during writing time today, you can write a story telling why your pet is the best kind to have.